All right, onwards and upwards. We're now on level 5 authentication. And in this lesson, we're going to talk all about cookies and sessions. Now, just a word of warning here. During the lesson, if you continue watching, you may start to feel that you get a little bit hungry. So don't blame me if I've just completely derailed your diet plan. Because in this lesson, we're going to talk all about cookies and their yummy goodness. Not really. The type of cookies that we're talking about that relates to web development are more similar to fortune cookies because they have a message that's packaged inside. And you can pass these around and they can be broken to reveal the message. So you've probably come across cookies before, but if you haven't, I just want to show you how it works in practice. So let's say we go onto Amazon and we search for the Switch, right? The Nintendo Switch. And we decide to go ahead and add it to basket. So now when we look inside our basket, you can see we have one item, the Switch, right? And then we're going to do something that all e-commerce sites hate. We're going to go and navigate away and abandon our shopping cart. Now this, to any e-commerce website, is a real crime because the user obviously wanted to buy something, but then at some point they got distracted by something else, abandoning their cart without checking out. So what does Amazon do? Well, as soon as you added that item to the cart, Amazon has created a cookie and has stored that cookie on your browser. So how can we go and view that cookie? Well, inside Chrome, if you go to settings and you search for cookie, if you scroll right to the bottom, it shows you that there's something relating to cookies inside content settings. So if we go over there and we click on cookies, you can see there's this option to see all cookies and site data. And now you can see that Amazon has not added just one cookie. Just by doing that very small act of adding a Nintendo Switch to our Amazon basket, Amazon has told our browser to save all sorts of information about ourselves. And if we click on amazon.co.uk, you can see there's the session token, the session ID, and these cookies don't necessarily contain any actual information, say this user wanted to buy a Nintendo Switch, but what they do contain is an ID number. And this ID will be used to fetch all of those things that you added to your cart during this browsing session on Amazon. And this is why if you decide to go and close down your browser and you open it back up, and let's head back to amazon.co.uk, you can see that my Switch is still inside the basket. So they haven't forgotten this. So that means the next time I go onto Amazon, that Nintendo Switch is still going to be in my shopping basket. However, if we go into those cookies for Amazon, and we go ahead and delete it. So let's go back to see all cookies and site data. We find the one that is directly related to Amazon and we remove all of these. Now, if we go and refresh this website, you can see we forced it to forget our last browsing session and it doesn't know about that Nintendo Switch anymore. Now, on the internet, cookies are used widely to save these browsing sessions, and it goes beyond just saving your last actions on the website. When Amazon adds those cookies to my browser, it also means that when I go and visit another website, say if I go onto Facebook, then it knows who I am and what items I wanted to buy on Amazon. And it will try to remind me of that thing that I wanted to buy on Amazon. And it's kind of creepy, but this is essentially how retargeting ads work. Once a user comes to your website, initiates some sort of buying behavior, and then they decide to abandon cart, you save what it is that they wanted. And then on other websites or when they come back onto your website, you remind them about that thing that they wanted to buy. And this is all done through cookies and sessions. So if we review this from a web development point of view, it means that say on day one, when I go into Chrome and I type in amazon.com, My browser will make a GET request to Amazon server requesting for their homepage. Amazon server will then respond to that request and send over the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files that are needed for my browser to be able to render the Amazon website. And then let's say that we decided to add a computer to our cart. Well, that is equivalent to making a post request to Amazon server, saying that I would like to buy a computer, right? And it's at this moment in time when Amazon servers will create a cookie that contains that data. This user wanted to buy a computer. And when it responds to the post request, that cookie gets sent along and the browser gets told to save that cookie. So that means that if I now get distracted and I decide to go onto Facebook or whatever it may be, but if I come back tomorrow, that cookie is still saved on my browser. So the next time that I make a GET request to Amazon server, that cookie gets sent along with my GET request to allow the server to be able to identify who I am and see if I had any previous sessions on Amazon. And it's the equivalent of cracking open that fortune cookie, revealing what were the previous things that I wanted to buy. So in this case, it was a computer. And then they could respond with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and also render my cart so that the computer is already added in the cart. So there are lots of different types of cookies, but the types of cookies that we're going to be looking at are the ones that are used to establish and maintain a session. Now, a session is a period of time when a browser interacts with a server. So usually when you log into a website, that's when your session starts, and that's when your fortune cookie gets created. And inside that fortune cookie, you'll have your user credentials that says this user is logged in and has been successfully authenticated. So that means as you continue to browse the website, you won't be asked to log in again when you try to access a page that requires authentication, because they can always check against that active cookie that you have on your browser, and it maintains your authentication for this browsing session until the point when you log out, which is when this session ends and the cookie that's related to this session gets destroyed. So we're going to be implementing cookies and sessions into our website, and we're going to be doing it using something called Passport. Now, if you talk about Node.js and authentication, it's almost impossible to not mention Passport. And it's something that's very, very flexible, and it allows you to authenticate your users using either a local strategy, like what we're doing right now, which is username and password, or use a whole bunch of other services such as Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. And it makes it a lot easier for you to be able to plug these different ways of authentication into your website. So let's get started learning about Passport and learning about how we can implement cookies and sessions.